story time about how I found out my mom faked her death so she wouldn't have to be our parent anymore. So it was me and my brother Jeremy, and after I turned about 5, my mom started complaining that she was getting sick and couldn't go back to work. She was always bedridden, and she was always having people make food for us, and she was just never really attentive like that. So here and there, she would have this random black car come pull up to the house, and she always told us that she was going to appointments. So that's what we believed. She would come back and just keep us posted and say that the doctor gave her a prescription and that she should be fine. As the years went on, me and my brother Jeremy, who was younger than me, he was 12 and I was 15 at this time, we just started taking care of her for the rest of our lives. We barely had a social life or really any social skills or normal high school experience because we felt like our mom could die any second. And she would always tell us, "Don't you notice how much weight I'm losing?" Because the clothes that she would wear were really big. So one morning, that same black car came and got her, and she went to the hospital, and she never came back, like for part 2. This is part 2 about how my mom faked her own death. So like I said in part 1, that black car came and supposedly took her to the hospital, but she never came back. So of course, me and my younger brother Jeremy were curious about why she wasn't coming back. So after a whole week of our aunt babysitting us, we kept asking her, "Where's our mom?" And she looked so uncomfortable and cringy every time she told us that, "Oh, she's still in the hospital." So it's officially been 2 weeks, and my aunt got a weird phone call in the middle of the night. She woke up me and my little brother Jeremy and told us that our mom had passed away from an unknown disease. So only about 5 to 10 minutes after me and Jeremy were crying, our aunt went to her bedroom. I dropped out of school and everything because it just made me depressed that my entire life my mom was sick. So some time later, I asked my aunt about the funeral, and she said that she was going to be cremated, so there would be no funeral. So after my mother was cremated, my aunt kept the urn locked in a cabinet and said we weren't allowed to touch it ever. This gets bad, like for part 3. Part 3 about how my mama faked her own death. So like I said in part 2, we weren't allowed to touch the urn. My aunt kept it locked away in a cabinet. I was 15 at the time, but as some years went on, I turned 18, and I just wanted to see it. After all, it was my mom's. So one day, for some reason, I just couldn't sleep, and I was staying up extremely late. I heard my aunt getting ready to leave the house, so I decided to stay up to see where she was going. I looked out of the window, and the same mysterious black car that used to pick my mom up when I was 5 came to pick her up. That was weird, so after she left, I started looking around through all of her mail, all of her clothes for that key. So I found the key to the urn, and I went to the urn, unlocked it, and you will never guess what I found in there. It was flour. It wasn't even ashes. She put flour in the urn. That's why we weren't allowed to touch it. Once I got used to my aunt's schedule, I followed her next time. So as I'm spying through this weird house, I see my aunt talking to my mom. Once I screamed at both of them for a good hour, I found out that my mom paid my aunt to pretend that she was dead. She wanted a fresh start at life, but instead went to jail.
Am I wrong for not agreeing to let my husband have a baby with another woman? I, 32 female, am married to a great man, James, 36. He might not be so great if he's trying to get another girl pregnant, but let's get into it. Who is a sperm donor to his friend Miranda, 35 female, and her wife Vivian, 30 female. And they have a sweet little boy, and he is a very involved uncle. This all started before I was in the picture, and when I first started dating James, it felt a little weird at times, but grew to accept it because not all families are the same. Also, Miranda and Vivian are great. James and I have been married for a while and trying for a baby. Because of the pandemic, we decided to not actively try again until next year, but are still not using protection. Recently, Miranda approached James about being a donor again. He said that he needed to think about it and consulted me. And to be honest, I told him I was uncomfortable about the idea. Like I said, Miranda and Vivian's son was already in the picture before I came around, so I know I needed to accept it or leave. But now that I am his wife and trying to conceive myself, I just don't think that I can ever handle seeing another woman carry his baby. Very valid point, I agree with you. James understood my stance and suggested Miranda and Vivian find another donor or adopt. They refused, saying that they wanted their son to have a sibling that was related to him, and this time Vivian wanted to experience giving birth. James still refused, saying that he couldn't do it again. He tried to take all the blame, but I guess they were able to put 2 and 2 together and started asking me why I was so against them having a bigger family. I explained my reasons, and they said that I was being unreasonable and how my lack of pregnancy wasn't their fault. Since then, Miranda and Vivian have restricted access to their son, and I know that it's starting to take a toll on James and his family, because their son is technically the only grandchild. I know that my reasons are purely selfish, but am I really in the wrong here?
I decided I'm a medium friend, because like I'll do good friend things, but I'm not great at it. Like last night, my friend called me at 2 a.m. and I did not pick up because I was sleeping, and I keep my phone in do not disturb mode. Unfortunately, I woke up to pee, and when I picked up my phone to use the flashlight and I saw the missed call, and I was like, dang it. And I knew that I could pretend like I didn't see the call, but I was like, I can't pretend like I didn't see the call. I saw it. So I called them back, But I didn't take my grind guard out because the problem with that is if I take it out, I can't put it back in because it's wet and gross. And I know that doesn't make sense because my mouth is wet and gross. And it's just, if you know, you know, okay? If I take it out, I can't put it back in. And then I'll have neck pain and I'll have tooth pain and I just can't take it out. So I was like, I'm going to assess the situation here. And if somebody has died or if there is death on the table in any way, like I'm going to take it out. And so my friend told me what was going on in their life, and I was like, okay, I think this is a kind of situation where I can give solid advice with my grind guard in. I can support without taking out my support. So they're going off about like how upset they are, and I'm like, are you serious? I cannot believe she said that to you. That sucks. I was just, that's so immature. Like, I lost the lisp there at the end, but like that was me this whole time. And we talked for a long time. I should go check the call record. It must have been like 40 minutes. And then I woke up because I fell asleep while they were talking to me on the phone. But I feel like the good thing is, you know, I called them back. I didn't take out my grind guard. I fell asleep on the phone, but I called them back. And that's like medium friend.
Thinking about the time my high school bully literally tried to force me to teach them curse words in Spanish. I don't know any curse words in Spanish. So instead, I taught them how to say yo te amo, which is I love you in Spanish. And then he proceeded to run around the cafeteria, shouting in girls' faces, girls that he thought were ugly, saying yo te amo. Just that, yo te amo. Just like that. Just he thought he was doing something. He thought he was insulting them at a higher level in a different language. And I just stood there like this. And I watched the whole thing. I miss 5th grade me. We need to make a comeback.
I'm 35 and my sister-in-law is 46. I have 3 children, the oldest being 16. For my birthday last week, my son went out and bought me this swinging hammock chair that I had been wanting for 2 years, and it cost him quite a bit of his saved money, which I fully intend to put back into his bank account so he can continue saving. He was so excited to see me open this gift and couldn't wait to help me set it up. I told him he shouldn't have, that it was a lot of money, and his response was, "You never get anything nice. I wanted you to have it." And it was true. I usually don't get anything for my birthday or Christmases outside of Tupperware or soaps. So it might sound stupid, but I have cherished this swing ever since he got it for me, especially where I finally have something nice that's mine. My sister-in-law comes over once a week to see all of us, and she immediately headed straight for my swing, which my son had hooked up on our deck. I told her to please not sit on it, and she said, "Is there a weight limit?" So I told her yes, 250 pounds, and I even showed her the box to confirm. She was not upset about this. She just said, "That's a bummer. They need to make something capable of holding us big girls." I simply agreed with her and went back to my business. At this point, my husband shows up from work. When I went inside to grab us some drinks, her and my husband were talking on the porch, and not even 5 minutes later, I hear a loud crash and my husband says, "Are you alright?" I go out, and sure enough, she had sat in my swing and the crochet netting around the hook snapped on one side, causing her to fall right. She's sitting there laughing, gets up and says, "I guess I need to learn to listen." So I lost it. As I already said, I never get anything nice. Never. This is the one thing that I had that was mine, and it didn't even take someone a freaking week before they ruined it for me. So I said 20 minutes ago that it would not hold you and to please not sit in it. She makes some comment about, "Usually the weight limit is a lie. I thought it would hold." So I said the weight limit would probably hold if you were only 50 pounds heavier, not 150. She's 420-ish pounds because she's one of those girls who eats food on camera for money, and she absolutely loves her weight. But regardless, instead of apologizing or offering to compensate me money for my destroyed item for making her feel like her weight is a problem and my husband is on her side,